This is Emmett.
And Jessica.
And you're listening to the Friendly Atheist Podcast. Please go to patreon.com/Friendly Atheist Podcast to support what you're listening to. Hello.
Hey.
How you doing?
You know what? I'm in a great mood.
That's unusual.
I know. It's very foreign to me. It's gorgeous out. It is 3 o'clock on Friday. I've been done with work since noon. I'm on summer hours life.
Nice. I saw you went out of state and met people.
I did. So my husband and I did a last second trip to Minneapolis. We were going to go to Cleveland to see an Indians game, but it was supposed to be shitty weather over Memorial Day, so we went the other way. We went to Minneapolis, and Holly and Elle came out and met me for a drink. Holly she brought us these gifts. She gave me a little like rainbow flower clip. Well, she gave me 2 bags, and she had asked about Mikey. So I was like, oh, is one for me? Is one for Mikey? She's like, no, one's for you and Mikey. The other one's for Dottie.
They know what the priorities are.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So you guys, thank you. So it was such a joy hanging out with you both.
Excellent.
And so
Did
that was
you
great.
watch
Thank you.
the Super Bowl last night?
The Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
The Super Bowl is not a thing that's happening.
That happened.
The Super
My
Bowl.
people's Super Bowl was last night, and it was amazing.
What are you talking about?
The spelling bee. It was awesome.
Oh, brown people's Super Bowl.
Uh-huh.
I thought you meant.
The
I
only
don't know
thing.
what I
And
thought
like
you meant.
all of
Didn't
us
8
won.
people win?
Yeah.
And 1 white person?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Someone has to allow them in. So, yeah.
Because they ran out of... Okay, I just saw a headline.
We defeated the dictionary.
That
That's
is
how we work.
That is a wild thing to... Which I guess it's kind of inevitable, right? Those things get so competitive that eventually, like...
Oh, they said, like, yeah, if we get to this point and there's still a bunch of you left, we're just going to stop.
Oh, my God.
So we destroyed everybody.
Congratulations,
I'll
brown people.
take the congratulations on everyone else's behalf.
I genuinely thought you were talking about hockey because it's the playoffs right now and you're calling it the wrong thing. I was judging you so hard.
You think I watch hockey?
No, listen.
All right, you want to talk about the best story ever that happened after we taped the last episode, and I've been waiting a week just holding it in.
With bated breath.
Ark Encounter is filing a lawsuit against its own insurance companies. There's several because it's a hugely expensive place.
Is that how insurance works?
Yeah, I think when you have that, like it's $100 million in theory property, or at least that's how much money they got to build this place. So they have a bunch of insurers who take care of various things. They're suing several of them, I think. It's not just one they're suing. Why? Because there's an access road on the side of the attraction that got damaged by the rain. I'll come back to that in a second. Got damaged by the rain, and basically, they say we had to fix this. It cost us up to $1 million to fix the road because of how damaged it was. We had to build new stuff because it was like sinking in and stuff. And we want the insurance to cover it. And the insurance companies say, we'll cover a lot of stuff. We don't cover design deficiencies or faulty workmanship. So if your architects built a shitty ark, we don't cover that. And so the insurance say, your broken access road, that's your own damn fault, and that's your architect people's damn fault. And Ark Encounter says, there's an exception in our rule in the insurance clause that says land improvements are covered by insurance. We say it's a land improvement. And insurance people are like, no, you guys just sucked from the beginning, so we're not paying this. That's the argument. Of course, every headline is Ark Encounter is suing over flood damage.
That's pretty good.
Which is amazing.
That's a really good headline for a pretty boring story because you're kicking off this week's podcast about insurance fraud.
Ark Encounter suing over flooding.
That's
and
pretty
it's
good.
so funny because the only people who have no sense of humor about this is everyone at Ark Encounter. Even their lawyer, who is like a third party, not a Christian lawyer, like a real lawyer, said to the press, the suit is no laughing matter. We are not going to comment to the press on this story.
That's
come on.
good.
You can comment on this one.
I remember years ago when I used to write for the blog, they had, when they did, what was that? Was it Noah? Was that what the movie with Joaquin Phoenix? Or Russell Crowe? I get them mixed up
Russell
in my head.
Crowe?
Anyway.
There was a movie about it.
Yeah, but the filming got delayed for that reason. And I was...
heavy rain.
God, that was a trash movie.
Oh, my God. So this lawsuit is going on. They're suing for like $1 million to recover the money they feel they're owed. And we'll see how that goes. These things take a while to resolve. But what is still stunning to me is that this article the lawsuit was filed on a Wednesday. I didn't know to look for it, but the first article about it came out on a Friday afternoon. Ark Encounter must have known this was happening for a long time, obviously. They didn't anticipate the headlines. They didn't anticipate the media coverage on this. They did nothing in advance. All they did after the articles everywhere came out is they're like, how dare you fake news people lie about what happened? The Ark is not damaged because of flooding.
Yeah.
I know you all want to think that, but that's their reaction to all this.
I mean, they're not wrong. It's a misleading headline, but like,
but it's a headline and everyone's having fun with it. So like everyone read the article. Every article I read at a credible mainstream websites, they all had fun with the headline, but then they all said the same accurate stuff about what's actually going on. But oh my God. Flood.
Oh, that's very
hilarious. Okay. I can't wait to see how this plays out. By the way, this is a separate matter. I don't even have this in front of me. During their weekly news segment, they do a series just like our podcast where they talk about stories. This is Ken Ham at Answers in Genesis, along with his crony, colleague, whatever.
Jesus.
They always talk about news relevant to their people. And what's interesting about their show is it's almost never, talking about creationism. It's just standard run-of-the-mill Christian bigotry.
Sure.
And one of the things they talked about is how one of their colleagues, Dr. Georgia Burdham, attended a national conference of like museum administrators, maybe because they want to learn how to run a museum for once. I don't know. But they have the Creation Museum, so they're like, we'll big come there. Quotes. Yeah. Well, she went to this museum, which is a secular conference. Like, everyone just comes there,
but
right?
She fit right in with those nerds.
She said, I can't believe it. Like, I went to the bathroom and there was a sign that said it's all genders can go in the bathroom. And their name tags had pronouns on them.
Oh, that's nice.
And then she's like...
Oh, wait. I bet she didn't react that way.
She was like, what? They have a pronoun? Why do I need this? I know what pronoun everyone is. And then she's like, at the end of the day, she's like, I'm just ditching this conference and exploring the city, which would be fine.
Where is she?
This was in New Orleans.
Oh.
And she's like, fine, go have fun in the city.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. But she's like, she was basically offended by the name tags and couldn't handle it. So she and her colleague just went out.
Sounds like a snowflake to
so
me.
we figured out how to destroy creationists. Just make sure that when you have a name tag on, it has like, these are my pronouns.
It's so
Use them.
funny how it's such a pot calling the kettle black, or it's them accusing liberals of everything that they are and everything that they do, because it's like,
you guys are intolerant.
Yeah, like hey, can you, like, literally, it's like, hey, Hammett, can you call me Jess instead of Jessica? Like, that's fine. That's
and
all
I don't
anybody's
think about it.
Yeah.
Like, it just, all right, fine. That's what she actually said this in the Answers News show. Like, they wanted to make the pronoun thing. They wanted to make this like the focus of the event. And it's like, no, they pretty much gave you the pronoun thing, so it's not an issue. They did the bathroom sign so that bathrooms are not an issue for anybody.
Yeah.
And that's it. They want it to be not a distraction so that all the participants can focus on the panels and the topics. It's only to someone like her where it's like, oh, this is an affront to like my dignity because you don't have signs everywhere saying, hey, trans people, there's something wrong with you.
Right.
Which I guess is what they do in their places.
Well, they don't believe that trans people exist, so it doesn't. Or if they do exist... Yeah. They believe a trans person looks like
flood.
If Hammett put on a wig, like that's what a trans woman, like they don't fucking know.
The giant flood, the great flood, that existed, but trans people don't. That's
cool. Just really quick, I think it was Al. I'm really getting in my head that it was M, but I think it was Al who met me in Minnesota. Yeah. Had really dope earrings, and they just said they, them on either ear, and I don't think I said anything to them, but like those are really fucking dope. Awesome. I noticed them.
On a similar note, there is a group we've talked about before called 1 Million Moms, a Christian mommy group.
Of 13,000?
So much less.
Really?
Yeah. Twitter account, like 3,600. Literally, since the last time I wrote about them, which is like a month ago, they added one Twitter follower. So they're at 3,600 something. But anyway.
I really want to get more followers than than Million Moms.
It
I'm at
won't
like
be hard.
1,500. I feel like I can do it. Social
You can
media
do
push
it.
for it.
So 1 million moms, all couple of them. Here's what they're mad about now.
Yep.
Gillette, the shaving company, put out a Facebook advertisement in which a father helps his trans son shave for the first time.
So sweet.
It is sweet. And that's literally like, oh, that was cute. I haven't seen something like that before. Yeah. That was my reaction. And then I moved on to doing whatever it is I do all day.
Gillette is really courting the liberals, which I'm... Because they did the other... Was that Gillette that did the, like, a real man doesn't... Remember that?
Yeah.
It was like 2 months ago. You cannot have a goldfish
That's
memory
too far
like that.
ago. No.
I think it was Gillette. Anyway, razor companies are really...
Here's the 1 million moms take on that. This is portrayed, the shaving thing, as a normal occurrence and embraces the LGBT community by glorifying this lifestyle. The irony with their tagline, "The best a man can get," is ridiculous. It's called Father's Day, not Trans Day.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was so much to unpack. So the first sentence...
It's like they just have hate, but no ability to form a cohesive thought. So they just throw everything they can think of.
If the first sentence was stand alone, it would have been actually like a really nice sentiment that like they're normalizing like LGBTQ people because it's a thing that people are doing. Except for glorify is always that like red flag word.
Glorifies by saying, hey, everyone's
hey, this person
through.
exists.
Yeah, that's what glorifying.
Super glorifying.
The gay agenda is like, oh my God, you showed a gay couple getting married or existing on television. You didn't say it was good or bad. You just showed them. And you didn't have like creepy, scary music in the background.
Like, do you remember that A Storm Is Coming in 2012?
Oh
do you remember that? 2012, 2013.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
It was, I think, when Hillary,
she was running for Senate. There was a woman running for
was?
Senate, I think.
Well, and it was like the gay marriage thing of like a storm is coming and I'm afraid.
I don't remember what that was for.
Right?
I know
it was about gay marriage. I just don't. It might have been part of Prop 8. I don't know. Anyway, okay, so glorifies.
Scary music
that's fine.
always works.
And then it's Father's Day, not Trans Day?
Not Trans Day.
So.
Which.
Hey, Hem.
Weird non sequitur, but all right.
I almost called you Hem. We're not doing that.
I'm not Jess. That's
I
not
don't.
how this
it was
works.
just like it just came out and I hated it immediately.
Yes.
What the fuck are they talking about?
I don't know. And they got mad about another commercial too. And both Gillette and Head and Shoulders shampoo is both owned by Procter and Gamble. So this is all about we hate Procter and Gamble. But they also pointed out that Head and Shoulders.
Good luck boycotting Procter and Gamble.
Yeah, the giant conglomerate. Head and Shoulders shampoo also put out a commercial like a month ago, and it's finally catching up to them because they're.
Was it like gay people don't have hair?
Well, no. Theirs was here's a high school girl going to prom, and you see her like shampooing her hair.
With another girl.
And she gets to prom, puts a corsage on a suit jacket, and then it pans out, and it's another girl. And then it shows them kissing for half a second. I'm not joking, half a second, because it's a 15-second commercial. And that's it. And it's like, if you've ever chaperoned a school dance, as I have, like, that's nothing.
Oh, no.
Oh, that is the reaction that all the teachers have, too.
Oh, no.
That's
I
right.
hate that.
Yeah. So anyway, here's 1 million moms. The lesbian commercial has aired on these things. Thanks, P&G, Procter & Gamble. Now parents have to explain this twisted scene to their confused children. Here's how I would do that.
Oh, yeah. You're a father.
It's a school dance. I'm done.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
You got it in one.
I know.
I do. Okay. I have two thoughts. One is I think it's hilarious that like some group of 3,000 nobodies is going to try to take down literally one of like the largest corporate.
I haven't even gotten to the best part yet.
You haven't gotten to the best part?
No,
wait.
yeah.
Okay, you go. Then.
Okay, so they have a petition they want their 3 members to sign, and it says P&G ultimately push conservatives to P&G's competitors by promoting this LGBTQ.
They own everything.
I know. Here's the rest of the petition, part of it. Here's what you're supposed to sign when you send them your petition. I am extremely disappointed P&G would honor fathers by using a transgender to sell your products. A
A
transgender.
transgender.
I urge P&G to put a stop to inappropriate marketing campaigns, blah, blah, blah. I will not purchase any P&G products until these commercials are canceled.
Canceled.
They're not going to use any P&G. You know what else P&G makes? Soap.
Yeah, like
Laundry
It's
detergent.
once in a while they'll show those charts that are like basically
what the
Comcast,
conglomerate
P&G,
owns. Yeah.
and Kraft own everything you touch.
Right. If they're not going to use any P&G products, they are not taking a shower. They're not doing any laundry. And these commercials aren't going away. Which
Right.
means you got to find these 1 million mom members and
Just
stay away.
quarantine them, I think.
Quarantine them
They're gonna
like
be
they-
a little stinky.
Yeah.
I do also I know I get swept up in anytime a company does something with a hat tip to the LGBTQ or feminism or whatever, I'm like, oh my God, they're best. I want to be clear. I still think Procter & Gamble is ultimately an evil corporation and that they only are catering to the left because they see that they could make a profit out of it. I want to be, because we're moon dancing into Pride Month and we're about to see a lot of rainbow shit.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I will buy it all.
They could have easily had legit complaints against Procter & Gamble, just not this one.
Yeah. Anyway, I just want to be clear. We're about to see a lot of big companies do a lot of LGBTQ shit.
1 million moms.
And that's great.
Parent organization is the American Family Association, who
really?
I think is still going off on Target for having a transgender bathroom policy.
Yeah.
They're still mad about that, and somehow Target hasn't gone out of business
I can't
yet.
believe it. I was just there 20
Their-
minutes
their
ago.
Their petitions go really
It
well.
was popping. I got some wine on sale.
That's where I get all the best wine.
Listen, it's not bad wine. We're drinking pretty good. I used to, when we used to record at nights more, I was just thinking about this. I used to say what wine we were drinking because I would usually get a bottle. And lately, A, it's during the day, and B, it's just the box of wine that I always have in my house. That's what we're drinking. We're drinking Cube Merlot. Thank you, Target. But today we're drinking Boggle. Boggle or Bogle, I never know. It's Merlot. I'm kicking off my weekend right. I'm feeling really good about myself. Can I tell you about a fun story?
Yes, go.
So, how much do you know about the Stonewall riot?
It happened 50 years ago. It launched kind of the LGBTQ movement as an organized thing.
Yeah.
What else do I need to know about it?
Those are the broad strokes. Actually, the Dollop has a really good episode about it. But essentially, it took place in the Stonewall Inn, which was it was in, I think,
New York.
Yeah, I think it was in Greenwich Village specifically. Excuse me. And in 1960, it was a well-known place that gay people would go that not only embraced gay people, but above and beyond trans people, drag queens, people who didn't necessarily fit in a traditional mold, who didn't always have a spot in the 1960s gay scene. So they were sort of owned. There was a whole mob thing happening because it was New York in the 60s. And so generally, you would see a lot of police coming in to raid for misusing their alcohol license. But usually they would get a heads up from the mob because it was a whole corrupted garbage thing. One night they came in, the police came in. They were always obviously super homophobic. Again, it was the 1960s in New York. So they're under the guise of checking for alcohol violations, but this would generally result in police intimidation and soliciting bribes. They would bring people into the bathroom to check their genitals to see what gender they were. They were nightmare people. So there was two trans women specifically, who were well known there. It was Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. They are kind of known to have led the Stonewall riots. Johnson was said to be one of the first to resist police intimidation. Rivera is rumored to have thrown the first bottle. Anyway, they resisted against these cops, and it resulted in a 5-day riot. So again, you're right. It was considered a new step in the fight for LGBTQ rights. And put a face on it and was embracing trans people a little more. Obviously not well. We're still not doing that well. But so there's 6 days of pros. They also, these two women also co-founded a group dedicated to helping homeless young drag queens and trans women of color find homes. And this year, 2019, marks the 50th anniversary of the riots. Now, when Obama was in office, he actually declared the Stonewall Inn as a historic
landmark.
Which was, I believe, I might be speaking on a term, but I believe the first time it was like an LGBT specific landmark. But anyway, Johnson and Rivera are getting a monument in New York City. It's going to mark the 50th anniversary. It's one of the first monuments specifically dedicated to trans people. It's going to be right down the block from where the Stonewall still is ? I actually don't know. I meant to look that up. But yeah, that's just a really exciting thing. That people are starting to recognize the fights that they had in the
Took long enough.
in the 60s. Yeah, only 50 years. Just a quick half century.
This surprised me. I feel like I should have known this, and I didn't know this well enough. But in the Catholic Church, there's all the attention paid to all the priests who are abusers. Mm-hmm. And we've heard stories about nuns who have been abused by the priests as well. And it turns out there's plenty of nuns who are the abusers too. And now they're starting to speak out because they feel like all the spotlight stuff and all the backlash against the Catholic Church is solely focused on the priests, the men. And they're like, no, I was abused and it was by a nun. And I want people to take that story seriously too. So there are the website Bishop Accountability, which kind of keeps track of all of these predator priests and nuns credibly accused of these allegations, say there are about 100 nuns who have been credibly accused of abuse over the years. And part of the problem...
fewer than I would expect.
Yeah. I mean, I expected it to be few, but I actually was surprised, like 100. Like, it's not just one or two bad eggs. It's a bunch of them.
Oh, see, I would have thought it would be higher because I think the problem is less about men in power, although we
just
all
power
know.
in general.
Yeah, power in general, like unquestionable
that.
Power.
Yeah,
but also
you
do hear. I would argue that there are more because you hear about people growing up before we decided we shouldn't hit kids, just beating the shit out of kids, and that wasn't quote unquote abuse as we think of it now.
So maybe a lot of it is unreported.
Yeah, I mean, not even unreported, but not falling under the umbrella of abuse.
That's entirely possible. Some of the survivors of the abuse here are girls who say part of the reason they didn't go forward with it until now is not just because they didn't think it was abuse or they didn't know it was abuse or they were scared to come out about the abuse, but also they didn't want the double stigma of anyone saying, well, it was a lesbian relationship, as if it could be a relationship or anything like that. But NPR had this story talking to some of the survivors of that, one of them who received an out-of-court settlement from the church. Just the takeaway from all that is, hey, when you're talking about abuse in the church, it's not just priests. Mm-hmm. It's like you're saying, it's the power structure. It's a lot of people. And if they're not abusing, they may also be involved in the cover-up. Mm-hmm. It's not just a small fraction we are talking about. There's a bunch of these bad ones out there. Just keep that in mind. This is here's a happier story for you because we need a happy story. The Supreme Court last week said that Indiana could. They said the Indiana law that Mike Pence signed when he was governor of that state, which said aborted fetuses had to have a burial.
This law.
Yeah, they all had to have a burial. There's no medical reason for this. It's just this idea that they were persons, therefore they need a proper funeral.
No, it's
and it's
the
just
women need to
be
properly punished.
Right. And if you have you had an abortion early on in the pregnancy, we're still going to make you get a coffin or whatever you need
Should
to
I
give them a
start
proper
burying
burial.
tampons in protest? I think that would be a fun art piece.
And that's all it would be because I don't think Mike Pence cares.
I mean, maybe if I tweet at him. Do you
yes,
think
that should do it.
That'll work.
That should totally do it. So one of the many things, I forgot the other half of this that the Supreme Court said. But the downside, they did one good thing regarding abortion, like said, we're not going to rule on this thing right now because we got a bigger case coming.
Yeah.
But they also said requiring abortion clinics to bury or cremate fetal remains, as the Indiana law went, could stay in place, which is disturbing and stupid and medically unnecessary. But remember how the Satanic Temple just got IRS approval as a church?
Yes. Satan is saving the day again.
The Satanic Temple put out a statement letting their members know that they do not have to follow the law because they have religious reasons to go against it. And according to Indiana and Mike Pence and all the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, apparently religious beliefs like give you the power to override what the laws are.
Yeah.
And the statement they put out said the Satanic Temple's one of the Satanic Temple's fundamental tenets is the inviolability of one's body. So barring any plausible medical or sanitary concerns, this law that the Supreme Court upheld is a violation of our free exercise, allowing Satanists to contextualize the termination of a pregnancy on their own terms. TST, the Satanic Temple, affirms that this rule violates your religious beliefs and asserts that members may refuse to adhere. So the question is, like, that's all fun and games, like in terms of putting out a statement now that you're a real church and capitalizing on this. The question is, okay, what happens if someone says, I'm not following your stupid law and gets punished for it and gets in a court and says, I don't have to follow the law because it violates my religion. What's a court going to do? Because as far as we've seen, the court has no business saying, oh, you're a Satanic Temple. I don't take you seriously. You don't really believe this stuff. No, if you say you believe it and you belong to the Satanic Temple, which is now a church.
Yeah, and your IRS exempt.
Then what is a court going to do? That's the question. And that is a question that is a legit, whatever you think about like the way the Satanic Temple responded to this, which is clever and definitely a publicity driver. That's all well and good, but they raise a real question here about how they can approach this legally, and I don't know what the answer to that is. Like, I'm very curious what would happen if anyone actually tried using that in court as a valid reason not to follow this rule.
I feel like the Satanic Temple kind of picked up the baton that the Flying Spaghetti Monster handed off, because I feel like that's how the Flying Spaghetti Monster started, but the Satanic Temple was like, oh no, we can do this like we're going to get the government involved, and
we won't be silly about it. We're going to scare the shit out of Christians in the process.
Ugh, I love it. It's so good.
One more happy story for you.
Okay, I have a lot of sad
look
stories.
at me with all these happy stories.
Oh, I actually have good stories.
Have you ever wondered what sex is going to be like in heaven?
Oh God, I haven't. Why do we always
We have
talk
an
about
answer.
Sex?
Because it's
good. I hope
it's the only thing some of these Christians write about. No, it won't be good.
Why?
It won't exist.
Why?
According to the website Desiring God, which is this preacher named John Piper, one of the writers for the site, Greg Morse, basically said that he's heard from people who are like, I'm looking forward to heaven, or I like the supposed Islam take on heaven, which is that I'll see 72 virgins, which isn't necessarily true and has a whole bunch of other problems to go with it.
Yeah.
Like,
are we going to get to the misogyny
the
in that?
virgins are in hell, but you're okay. Okay, separate aside. He's basically saying he heard that, and he wants everyone to know that, no. You don't have sex in heaven. Not with 72 virgins, not with your spouse,
Why?
not with anybody, because God has something better in store for you.
Cool.
Here's what Greg Morse writes. The new depth of intimacy I will have with my Lord will look back on the caterpillar of earthly joys with fondness, like you will remember the sex you had and think of it fondly, but not with longing. And this makes marriage and the intoxication of sexual intimacy all the sweeter now because you don't get it later. Here's what he said. We enjoy our candy.
Is he being weirdly pro-sex?
No.
Oh.
Well, within marriage and a very hetero...
normative,
missionary 100% of the time, yes. We enjoy our candy now, he says. He called it candy.
I get it.
Our heaven does not offer sexual pleasure, but it offers that which makes sexual pleasure obsolete.
What's he basing this on?
Made up shit. And
there's not even like a biblical quote he's working off
No,
of?
Jesus never said you're not fucking later on. There is no verse that. But you could use
makes
this
me so
argument for everything. Oh, you think there are harps in heaven? No.
Better
There's
than
better
harps.
than harps in
You're
heaven.
going to look at harps and be like, fuck those things.
Right. You think are there toilets in heaven? Oh no. No, we have better ways of dealing with literal shit. Like you
Why
could
did
do
bring
this
up
all the
toilets?
time.
Now I have to think about heavenly toilets.
It's the only thing I think about it at least 4 times a day.
God, you're
how that
such a
works up
weirdo.
there. Which also,
Like, do you
what if you were
eat-
single when you were here? What are you looking back on? Like by some logic, you could say, well, he's basically telling you better have sex now because you're not going to get it ever.
Well, Hammett, as much as I hate to
Don't
disagree
you want
with
the
you
memories?
and agree with this douche nozzle, I feel like his message is more like things are going to be so much better in heaven that you
I'm just trying to
won't
follow
worry
his
about what's
logic.
happening down here. I mean, yeah.
And
I
then it
don't know. Do you think
raises-
these people are all just having really bad sex and that's why they're like, meh.
It's going to be way better later. Maybe.
like they know that sex is supposed, like everything's like compared to sex and sex is the greatest thing. They're like, well, I've had it. It's not very good. My wife just lay there. There must be something better because this is the thing everybody told me was going to be so great, and it's not that good. You know what I was thinking the other day?
Toilets in heaven.
Is it the Mormon thing where they don't consider it sex if they don't move? So they just like.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, there's a thing. I
but
swear to
really
God, we've
hope
talked
this
about
is a
on this
thing.
program. Who do I think I am?
Yeah, really. This is no program.
No, on this show, there's a thing that like, you know how everybody used to like skate around like, oh, we didn't technically have sex because it was anal or whatever. But there was one where it was like, it's not sex if you don't move. So they would just like penetrate and just lay
I
there.
have no idea what you're
Okay,
talking about.
you talk about a thing. I'm gonna look it up.
Okay. Yeah, have fun looking this up.
I'm gonna go in incognito mode.
And now, yeah, there you go. And now I'm very curious, like, what's going on in hell if it's like the opposite of heaven? Just
all the fucking,
all of it, apparently.
but like bad.
I can't, like, if it's, do you have sex but it's bad? Or
You have sex and it's like a little too dry.
he didn't answer that question.
My mom listens
Isn't
to this. Sorry, Mom.
this is the good thing about not having friends. This
You have parents.
they don't know I do this. So I wish he would just finish off the questions here because I have so many follow-ups that this guy didn't answer. But
Mormon
I'm
sex
glad-
without moving.
What?
Soaking,
There's
it's
no
called.
way- no. Phrasing.
The art of
no.
having sex without thrusting. When a couple, quote, sticks it in.
Wait,
This is
where
Urban
are you
I'm
reading
so sorry,
this
it's
from?
Urban Dictionary. That's not a good
Yeah,
source.
no. What?
My college girlfriend thought the morning is Mormon soaking sex a real thing. Yes, it's a real thing.
You keep researching this
Yeah, this
while
is
I
cool.
talk about the
I'm a
next
former Mormon, and former BYU student. It appears to be unique to Mormonism, though, not a religious thing in other groups.
So just a cultural thing within some Mormons.
Yeah. So it's a loophole. So they just like put it in and just lay there.
Dude, I don't get that.
Well, I mean, it doesn't sound great, and it doesn't sound like it's ever happened. Nobody's just been like, cool, I definitely am not going to move. This is perfect. Anyway, God, what are we doing with our lives?
What are they doing with their lives?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm glad it's a real thing, because that would have been
I
very
love that
embarrassing.
this guy had a thought out answer, though, to this question. He's just like, I heard about this person asking this question. Let me answer it for you because I know.
Yeah, do you think it's
Like he's thought this through.
Do you think it's a thing like he can't not have an answer for everything?
Oh, totally. They
Right?
have to have answers because saying who cares? You'll figure it out
But
later.
it's not even an answer. The person just said like, oh, sex in heaven. And he's like, nope, actually. Like it's a well
Like he
actually,
knows.
dude.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's their
It's
whole
like the
website.
ultimate well actually.
Yeah.
Ugh.
All right. So, similar
Hell,
topic.
actually. No, that was nothing.
Similar topic. In Texas, there's a church in Dallas called Concord Church. And they've done this before, but it came up in the news this time around. It's the 4th time they're doing this. They make an offer to couples who attend their church. And they basically say, are you living together with your significant other? Because then you're living in
Out of
sin.
marriage, yeah.
Right. And they're like, are you living together? Because we want you to stop that,
Oh.
but we'll help you.
Help you stop that?
Yeah, because obviously the relationship is serious enough that you've chosen to live together, but not serious enough for you to get married.
You know how they could help solve this?
How?
Is make housing prices reasonable so people can feel comfortable that they can live on their own and maybe not move in with somebody that they're not ready for or mind their own fucking business.
You are asking the right question. They did not have that kind of nuance. They just said, we want you to stop cohabitating, so we'll pay for your wedding if you do it now.
Oh, God damn it, I missed out on that.
Oh, yeah. Well, so they're saying you get married through our church. We'll pay for your wedding. We'll cover your dresses and tuxes and rings and cake and even a month's rent after the wedding. It costs about $8,000 a couple they spend, which I know that's very low for a lot of weddings. But also I saw video.
It depends on what they...
I saw their video of them doing it.
Uh-huh.
It's a mass wedding. You're all getting married together.
Oh, no!
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's quite a corner to cut.
So I think it's one mass cake for everybody.
Oh my God, they're just getting
And-
Costco sheet cake.
Yeah, you're all just getting...
No judge, it's really good, but
the
like...
tuxes must be the ones they do quick changes in theater with Velcro or something. I don't know. They said we've done this 3 times in the past. 60 couples have gone through, and it's cost us about $8,000 per wedding. You do have to go through the church's premarital counseling program ahead of time, which is what the Catholic Church does. That's not new. Here's what I wanted to know.
Yes.
I wanted to know what are the catches, because they don't. I looked through their website entirely.
You said this is a Catholic church?
No.
Oh.
It's a standard non-denominational Protestant church. And I went
But
to
just
their
really
website.
fucking care about cohabitation.
Yes. I was like, what? Show me the contract that these couples have to sign to get this wedding and all that. It's not there. They don't have any information about it on their site. So on Facebook, I messaged them. I'm like, hi, tell me more about this program.
Mm-hmm.
And then they quickly responded like, okay, who are you? I'm like, all right, well, I write for this website. And tell me more. Then I never heard back from them.
What?
Of
I
course
can't
I
believe
didn't.
it.
But here's some stuff that I want to know.
Oh, your journalistic integrity got us in trouble again.
Who gets to get married? Is it only straight couples? Of
Yes.
course it's only straight. I figured I knew that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the couples have to sign a statement of faith? And like, what does that entail? Do you have to believe in a young earth, creationism? Do you have to, what if you don't agree with certain not Christ-related aspects of what they say in that faith statement? And like, are they not going to do it if you say, well, I believe, Christ is our savior.
Right.
But I don't necessarily think whatever this part of the biblical story is true.
Here's what I think is interesting about this is that I feel like for not most, I feel like if a couple is living together and not getting married, yes, maybe it's a financial thing. But if they want to do it on the cheap, like you go to the courthouse. I feel like
Right.
there are few people who would say, well, I don't want to get married because I don't have the money. I don't want to go to the courthouse, but I'm fine with a generic mass wedding. Like,
Right.
if
Which
you're
they
not,
do in cults, by the way.
right. Like, if you're not getting married because of money, it's because you want a wedding of some
Right.
renown. Like, you want your friends and
And again,
food
the cost
and
of a
booze.
wedding is the reception.
Yes.
It's not the wedding itself.
Yes.
They're only paying for the wedding, and that's
God.
only with 1 million people.
When I was planning my wedding, I was talking to this dude, and he was like, and I was just like complaining, like
Yeah.
how much planning went. He's like, yeah, when I get married, it's gonna be really cheap because we're just gonna like get married in the courthouse, and then the only thing we're gonna worry about is the reception. I was like, my dude, what do you think we're paying for?
Right.
My ceremony was 12 and a half minutes. And like, that's with
Right.
walking up and down the aisle.
Other questions I could not find.
Yes.
Under what conditions during the counseling will they ever tell a couple that's cohabitating you shouldn't get married? Because not all couples should get married.
Correct.
And
That's interesting.
And they're rushing them into it, clearly. So, like, at what point do you say you guys are not ready? What happens if the couple doesn't want to have kids? Does that play any role in this? Because a lot of these churches, they want you to get married to spit out the babies. What happens if the couple leaves the church after the wedding?
Yeah, like, is there a contract? What happens if they get divorced?
Yeah, do they have to pay back the money at any point? I don't know. If they have kids, do the kids have to be raised in the church?
Can I use this and just get myself a dope new dress?
Right.
I'm already married. We'll just stand through the
I'm
ceremony.
guessing they recycle the dresses.
Oh.
And also, like, is the catering is it done
Then
by
what are they
Chick-fil-A?
spending $8,000 per couple on?
Chick-fil-A. I assume.
No, but seriously, it's say $35 a head.
You can come around here. You can look at the picture. It's creepy as hell.
Actually, I do want to see it.
Yeah, I know you do. But yeah, so like, and here's what else they didn't show that I would love to see.
Oh, I hate that.
Uh-huh.
It's fewer than I thought, though.
There's, I think, 10 couples getting married in this picture that I have, and they're all standing on a stage like they're beauty pageant contestants.
I was picturing, have you ever seen pictures of the Moonies?
Yeah, getting there like 300 couples having a mass wedding.
That's what I was imagining.
Yeah. And also, I would like to see data on the 60 couples that have gone through your program. Are they all happily married? I mean, not happily. You can't gauge that.
Right.
But like, are they still married? What do we know about them? I would love to know the answer if they've done this
I
for
would
years
do a
in the past.
longitudinal study on that group.
Yeah, right. And so anyway, I saw all these headlines saying like Texas church will pay for your wedding if you're just living together. And then none of those articles, because they're all local news stories, none of them are asking the follow-ups. None of them who have access to the pastor are asking the questions that we should want to know. But oh my goodness, I want to know the answers to some of this stuff. I would also make an argument separately that like living together is a good idea.
Yeah, I would absolutely recommend it.
It's the same thing as abstinence. Like, I don't actually care what you do.
Right.
It's
but
your choice.
I'm glad I did it.
But again, you brought this up. If they're living together, it's probably because there are other issues. Maybe it's the money to get married. They don't have it. Maybe it's because they're not sure if they want to take that leap together. Like,
Yeah,
there
ours was
are
mostly-
good reasons you may want to live together that this church does not care about.
Yeah, I mean, Mikey and I moved in together after about a year and a half and didn't get married for another 5 years after that, but just kind of because we were both broke because it was after the recession. Hey, Hammett, I just got a message from a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And apparently your wiki page does not mention our podcast. So what the fuck are you doing
I'm
here?
pretty sure I have nothing to do with my wiki page.
It's just such a it's my friend Dan. Like,
Tell your friend to fix it. I don't have time.
no, he is. He's part of Susan
Gerbick's.
Gerbick's Wikipedia Skeptics group, and so he asked if there's anything I want to add. And you fucking bet there's gonna be shit I want to add to your wiki
Excellent.
page.
We should put a North Face jacket on and fix that whole page. Anyway.
Do you think I should? Do you think I'm gonna get my own Wikipedia page? Do you think I will? Well,
Maybe.
let's say on it. Jessica's the whitest person Hammett knows. Also,
They should just put a
Co-host a
color
podcast.
spectrum next to, and then an arrow way to the left. Okay.
rude. It's rude, is what it is. It's rude and
Did
discriminatory.
you know there is a conference happening as we speak? Maybe it ended now, but it was happening. There's a conference going on in the Vatican about atheists, and there's a whole bunch of researchers showing up there to present on atheists. And one of the groups that's presenting there did a whole study on atheist stereotypes. And the Vatican is really where you want to go to discuss
Oh
these
my
stereotypes.
god!
So I have plenty of issues. My jaw dropped too when I'm like, oh God, this can't be good. Then I learned some of their funding.
Excited.
Some of their funding came from the Templeton Foundation, which is a group that has this long history
Mr.
of
Templeton.
funding projects that have a pro-religion stance.
Cool.
So it's like, now again, it doesn't mean I'm going to discredit it automatically,
No.
but it makes you say, like, I have questions now.
Wait,
so
what kind of stereotypes are we talking about? Like physical or emotional or
just stereotypes like morality and what do people think about atheists in
Okay,
general.
I'm
But
writing
here's-
down a couple. I want to see how
Here's
well
the
I match
amazing
up.
thing. I read through the report that they produced, and some of the results, I'm like, that's really interesting.
Okay.
Okay, here's one. What if you actually ask people in a giant survey, do you believe in God? A fraction of them are going to say, no, I don't believe in God.
Right.
That is the definition they are correctly using to describe atheists. They didn't say, are you an atheist? And some people said no.
Okay.
They said, what's your description of how you describe your belief in God? And like one of the items on the list is, I don't believe in God. Another one is, I know God exists. Something like that, right? They said, I don't believe in God. There was an option on that spectrum that said, I don't know whether there's a God, and I don't think there's any way to find out.
Okay.
They labeled those agnostics. Fine. So anyway, for the atheists specifically, they then followed up with some questions like, what label do you use to describe yourself? Mind you, we're just asking atheists this question. And among atheists
I have a
in
list
the
of atheist
U.S.,
stereotypes I just wrote down.
what percentage of U.S. atheists actually call themselves atheists?
Ooh, 4%.
Thankfully more.
Oh, okay.
Like, they know they're atheists.
Okay, 12.
40.
What?
Like 39% of atheists call themselves atheists in the U.S. But
Oh, I see. I misunderstood the question.
Sure. So 40%-ish of atheists
So
call
40%
themselves
of people
atheists.
who said I don't believe in God
Say, I'm an
also say I'm an
atheist.
atheist. Got you.
Second on the list was 20%
Mm-hmm.
set of atheists call themselves something else. 20%. What did those 20% call themselves, if not atheists?
Agnostic?
I would have gone with that too.
No? Wait, let me guess again.
Yeah. Agnostic, 8%.
Really?
Yeah. 20%.
Just non-religious?
That's right.
Yeah?
Non-religious.
Hell yeah.
Also on the list, like freethinker was 7%, which I was surprised because I don't think outside of various parts of the internet, I've never heard anyone say
Yeah,
I'm a
that
freethinker.
didn't really catch fire the way they thought.
Yeah. So anyway, that was one result they found, meaning, here's their conclusion, there is no single term or discrete set of terms for referring to these people.
Sure.
Like,
I
because
mean,
we all use
there
different
is,
labels.
but-
There is, but they don't call themselves that. Okay. When it comes to ethics and morality, they found that atheists are just like everybody else.
What?
Wow. I know. Surprising. So they kind of asked, like, what is this true or false? What is right and wrong is up for each person to decide. And they asked this of everybody who took the survey, and they asked it to
I mean,
atheists
I'm
and agnostics.
sorry. That's a question about moral relativity,
Yes,
and they
it
want me
is.
to answer yes or no as if it's not been a debate that's stood for thousands of
Well,
years.
Right. So they're not saying what's the right answer, but they're saying, do you think it's up to each person to decide? The general population, 44% of people said, yeah, I think it's up to each person to decide. Atheists and agnostics, 46%. There was like no difference.
Sure.
It's pretty much the same in the US. Here's another question. Nature has deep value beyond its usefulness for human beings.
Okay.
So, like, do you value nature in
Yeah.
general by itself as a thing? Pretty much the same result. 77% of atheists said yeah, and 78% of the general public said yes. So, like, every time they ask a question about, like, moral relativity or morality in some abstract way, the answers were no different from us and the general public, which kind of goes to the heart of, atheists have a very different view of morality
Sure.
than the rest of us. No, that's not
Which
true.
no atheist thinks that.
Yeah, like, no atheists are like, yeah, we're totally immoral.
So
no,
did the
our
Catholic
own
Church then concede, like, hey, morality doesn't come from God, but it comes from your own...
You know, it's a presentation you give at the Vatican, and the academics might hear you, but you don't know who else is paying attention.
Sure.
Here's the third thing I found, last thing that I thought was interesting. Atheists are just... When you hear atheist, what words are attached?
Oh,
Adjectives
I have a list.
to describe atheist.
White,
Yeah.
smug,
Smug.
thinks they're smarter than you. That's not
Yes.
one word. Liberal, uses Reddit.
Go back to thinks they're smarter than you.
In IT.
Like aggressive, arrogant, militant, smug. Any of these terms suggest we think we're smarter than everybody else.
Correct.
And everyone else thinks that we think that we're smarter than them, right? Like atheists are thought to be smug and arrogant,
Which
right?
I would not argue with. I think we are smug people.
I think they asked, someone said, like, Richard Dawkins, like, you think you're smarter, you think atheists are smarter than everyone else. And I think his response is, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Which I would
sorry,
say,
guys.
you're right on one question. It doesn't mean you're right about everything else.
Yeah.
But the research here says atheists are just as confident about their beliefs as everyone else is about their beliefs.
God, I guess
Which
I've never...
sounds sensible. They basically said, true or false, like to everybody. I feel confident that my beliefs about God's existence are the right ones. And atheists and the general public in the U.S. ranked virtually the same. On a scale from -2 to 2, 2 being I totally believe it. Everyone said 1. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm right.
That's so interesting
Atheists
because...
were not higher than everybody else.
That's interesting because it makes sense. Like, yeah, atheists can be like assholes and kind of bullies if the situation lands that way.
Yeah, you're on the internet. They can be bullies.
But no more so than I go to church every week
Right.
and I am told that, like, foolish is the heart that believes there is no God. I might have
Right.
quoted the Bible correctly.
And this is the thing about religion to me that I've always seen is most of the atheists that I've seen talk about this stuff are very clear. Like, no, I don't know it for sure, but I'm pretty damn certain that that God doesn't exist. I'll live my life that way. There is that sliver. It's not a big enough sliver that you shove God in there. But like, again, I know I'm going back to Dawkins here, but he said this in The God Delusion. Like, if you have a scale from 1 to 7, 7's I 100% don't believe in God. He's like, I'm like a 6.9. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm right, but I can't prove it to you definitively.
Right.
I just work off of that. But if you go to a church, they don't say like, yeah, God probably exists.
Right.
No, they're 100% sure.
Right.
So if anything, I'd be like, no, they're way more arrogant, quote unquote,
right.
about their beliefs than we are. Anyway, the stereotype that we're smug and arrogant is not how it plays out, is what this research says.
I think that bothers me that I don't think will ever be resolved that I can think of is the fact that like atheism and agnosticism are not mutually exclusive. And like that, because that's when I got in my Twitter war with C-list actor Al Sparks. That was like the thing that it kept coming down to of like you're really an agnostic, you just won't admit it. Yeah, but people kept trying to explain to him like agnostic and atheism, they're not parts of the same spectrum. These are answering different questions. Do you believe in God? Do you not? Are you sure? Are you not sure? Mm-hmm. And most people are, I would argue, an agnostic atheist. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's no God, but like, I mean, I'm not gonna, like, I'm living my life as if there is. Hey, Daddy, can you get out of the dishwasher? Thank you. Anyway, I'm really sorry I didn't get to use my whole list of stereotypes. Oh, are there more? Plays video games, male. Wait, I want to know what counts as a video game. Like a Xbox game. Nope. What do you count as a video game? Like Candy Crush? Okay, I like Candy Crush a lot. Crosswords. Yeah, I do. I mean, I do the mini crossword puzzle every single day. I don't do the big one because I don't want to pay for the New York Times. One day I'll be in there. Okay. Just you wait. Oh yeah, I thought, didn't you? Oh, can we not talk about it yet? I await my next rejection from them. Oh, nice. It'll happen though. I have some stories to tell. Yes, please. I have a lot. This is going to be a long episode. How far are we so far? 5 minutes. Go. Okay, so this week in Men Are Terrifying, there's a man. His name is Jordan Hart. He lives in Tucson, Arizona. Like JoJo. That was a Beatles reference. Did you get it? No. Cool. This guy has been going to Planned Parenthoods, taking taking pictures of people's license plates and trying to track them down. Oh, that's not creepy. He said, quote, I'm also making a page. This is from his Facebook group. His Facebook, excuse me. Quote, I'm also making a page. I've recently been taking pictures of everyone's license plate who enters the facility, the Planned Parenthood facility. Hopefully we can identify some of these people and visit the homes to bring awareness and truth about abortion. You guys want to keep getting violent with me, I will tell you that is a very bad idea. The police will be there, and they're completely okay with my protest, and me taking pictures of individuals or vehicles against me. I would like to know if his church is cool with people just saying, I'm just taking down all your information so I could find you at your houses later and talk to you. Just talk to you. I just want to talk. So if any of you want to take it to a level above what I'm doing, you can absolutely go for it. I would love to see some Molotov cocktails. Jesus. So this guy is inviting violence because he obviously wants to escalate because he's a monster, according to other Facebook commenters, and obviously take that with a grain of salt. The Tucson police won't or can't do anything about it. Essentially, he has to do something unless aggressive. He takes action on it, they're not going to do anything about it. So anyway, if you live in Tucson, go to Planned Parenthood and maybe like stand in front of some license plates or something, or just like flick that guy off. Don't throw. Cannot be clear enough. Do not throw Molotov cocktails. That is not endorsed by the Friendly Atheist podcast. But like a good flip of the bird always is welcome. Jesus. So anyway, well, that's frightening. Men are monsters. Let's talk about, there's a big prayer that's going to be happening this weekend. Big prayer? Big prayer. About what? Franklin Graham, the evangelist, is asking everybody, like 250 quote-unquote Christian leaders,
to
Wait, which part was in quotes? Leaders or Christian?
just whatever I put in there.
Okay.
Christian leaders. No, they're both in quotes. Okay. I don't know. On Sunday, he wants them all, he's designating it a special day of prayer for Donald Trump because his enemy, I'm quoting here, enemies continue to try everything to destroy him, his family, and the presidency. In the history of our country, no president has been attacked as four presidents have been assassinated. Like, what are you talking about?
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh at
But the thing is, like, first of all, we're not even a month away from the National Day of Prayer, which they made a big deal about, but now we have another day of prayer. Okay. But also, I don't recall him saying, we all need to pray for President Obama because he has a very tough job and, the right is just attacking him.
And some racist asshole keeps asking for his birth certificate.
Right. So
isn't that guy the fucking worst?
So there is this giant day of prayer that they're trying to make into a thing. And it's obviously just hypocrisy because, again, they're praying for Trump not to repent for all the times he's lied or sided with dictators, but because, facts go against him and they're mad at the facts.
Sometimes I try to.
Warren Throckmorton, the professor, said, just what is it that they want us to pray about when it comes to the subpoenas?
Yeah. Sometimes I take, joy isn't the right word, but maybe comfort in thinking about what history books are going to look like when they are looking at 2016 to 2020, hopefully, of this week, Trump aligned himself with Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un.
Got it mixed up. Over fucking Joe Biden. And the Republicans were like, oh, absolutely, so wise. And the shit about the USS John McCain getting covered up, it's gotten so beyond the pale, and we're so entrenched in it right now, right? We see it every day, and everything caps the thing prior to it. Everything is just unprecedented to a bewildering degree.
Evangelicals would be more convincing with their rhetoric here if they would at least just say yeah, that was bad.
I think that's the thing.
They can't bring themselves to do it because they think it shows some weakness on their part or something.
Yeah, and I think it sort of the good faith argument of no, we really believe this man was chosen by God. You kind of get diminishing returns when thing after thing, which is objectively morally gross. There's not a single thing he's done since he's been president that you're like, yeah, he kind of crossed the line there. That would at least give them some credibility of we're not going to follow this guy off a literal and metaphorical cliff. It's just wild. No, I think about
here's what they should
telling
do.
Children about this in the future.
I will join you in spreading the word if they just said, look, we're going to have a day of prayer, 24 hours, just stay at home and pray. It's on election day. And we're going to pray that he wins.
Yeah.
Make your thoughts in prayer worthwhile.
That's cool.
That would be great. They're never going to do that. Right. Alabama, lawmakers, fresh off their abortion ban, have signed another bill.
You know why I'm in such a good mood is because I didn't think about abortion all day today.
Good job.
And here we are. I'm one glass of wine in, and you're ruining my Friday.
There you go. They have a new law that basically says, if you get married in the state, a state judge has to sign the paperwork, or if you're we just want a court wedding, then a judge has to perform the wedding.
Right.
And if they're a state-appointed judge, it doesn't matter if you're a same-sex couple. They got to do the job. It's like Kim Davis in Kentucky has to sign your your marriage license. That was her job until Kentucky changed the law. So Alabama lawmakers have passed a new law basically saying we're separating the judges from having to do weddings. So basically the state has really no role in the wedding other than to say, you guys are married now, we'll jot that down for statistical purposes.
Wait.
They're taking the state officials out of the wedding game altogether.
So you don't have to get a marriage license anymore?
I think. I don't know.
that's-
There's no requirement for any ceremony, which means like a judge doesn't need to say certain words.
Okay.
There is a license involved because you need it, but like a
But I
clerk
guess that's at the
can do
county.
it.
That's at the county level, not the state level.
It's a
know.
taxpayer funded thing. But like basically they will say, okay, you're married now because you told us you are, and you've passed all the law. Like legally you can be
Sure.
married. So now you say you're married. We will sign off that you are married
Okay,
and we'll
this
tally whatever we
doesn't
do.
sound bad
But
so
a
far.
judge doesn't have to like say, you guys say this to one another. Do you put your hand on the Bible? Whatever. They don't have to do any of that.
Go to the clerk and say, "Hey, Mikey and I are married now." And they're like, "Cool, congrats."
Pretty much. If
Here's
you're
some confetti.
barring anything weird,
Sure.
weird circumstantial or anything, the judges have really no involvement
Mm-hmm.
in your wedding. So the good news is they are treating everybody equally.
I feel like there's a catch coming.
There's no
but
catch. They
Oh.
are treating everybody
Oh, what?
equally because like it's not like they're saying judges can perform straight couple weddings.
Right.
They're saying nope, judges aren't doing that job at all.
Ceremonies
It's
are no
off
longer
the list.
necessary.
But at the same time, it's like we're lowering the bar to ruin the experience just to make sure judges don't have to deal with gay people. Like their bigotry led them to make weddings like non-existent in a sense if the judges don't want to do
I
it.
see what you mean.
So it's like in a better state, they would say no. Judges
Better
have
state.
judges have to say the same whatever the oath is that you got to
Yeah.
say
Because
at
you
the
have
bare
to
minimum.
say, like, to marry, at least in Illinois, you have to like get consent. So I have to
You
say,
have
like,
to have an officiant
you have
to
to have
get
an
the
officiant
consent,
who says,
right?
"Do you agree to marry you?"
Right.
Do you agree? They both have to say something affirmative.
And after the Obergefell ruling, it's like, yeah, you got to do that for gay couples too. That's like
Right.
your only change now. And
Right.
some judges, especially in Alabama, are like, I don't want to do that because ew. And so the new rule is fine. We won't make you do that for anybody. So it's like their bigotry
spite is a hell of a
yes,
thing.
They lowered the bar out of spite. And I don't know, is that a good thing or bad? I mean, it's good because it's equal, but it's bad because their solution was let's lower the bar, which is like the most Alabama thing you could do. Like, all right,
Yeah.
we'll just lower the standards for this for everybody. I
I
mean,
don't
I
necessarily-
have heard from atheists who are like, good, I don't want the state
Yeah.
involved in any of this.
which is fine. Also, that is
But that's not why they did it.
No,
They
of
didn't do it
course.
to say we don't want marriages to be a function of the state
yeah,
or whatever.
And of all of the bad takes, and there are many about gay marriage, I think the worst anti-gay marriage shit I've heard is generally from like men, atheist men, is, well, I don't believe in gay marriage because I don't think marriage should be a state thing anyway. And it's like, you couldn't be less helpful if you tried.
Right. Even Kim Davis, when she's like, I don't want to sign off on a gay couple's wedding marriage license.
Yep.
Kentucky changed the law so that county clerks do not have to sign the paperwork. And she said, yes, I like this change. Like they changed the law to appease the bigots. That's what they're doing in Alabama too, even further than Kentucky went.
Yeah,
so
whatever.
The irony, as someone pointed out to me, gay people finally did destroy marriage, but it wasn't the gay people who did it. It's
That's pretty
conservative Christian lawmakers
That's pretty
who
good.
destroyed marriage in the state of Alabama. So there you go.
That's excellent. So speaking of the South, so we know that oh, by the way, I didn't even write it down, but Louisiana also passed a garbage bill about abortion. Fuck y'all. So I think the most interesting thing that's been happening lately is in Georgia, which is one of the first places to sort of kick off their cool abortion ban trend. So the thing with Georgia is they, as a state, created really huge tax incentives to encourage people to film TV shows, movies, etc.
It's like a 30% tax credit.
Yeah,
You get a
it's
lot of money back. If
Yeah,
you,
it's wild, and it
if
was
you film
effective.
your show there.
If you watch TV regularly, you often see at the end that little tag that filmed in Georgia, like Walking Dead famously filmed there.
I read somewhere that if you include the logo with the peach symbol, they'll give you an additional bonus tax credit too.
Well, that tracks, because all those
which is why you
everything.
see it on all these shows.
So, and which is fine. It's tax incentive to try to bring, it's ultimately a healthy thing for the
it's good for the state.
the
It's good for
state,
tourism.
yes, all those.
It's good for Hollywood too. They like to film elsewhere, and they want the scenery and the
Well,
backgrounds, and like
yeah.
they get
And
credit.
Hollywood is expensive to
Yes.
film in now. Vancouver is where almost everything films, it feels like. But anyway, so that's been happening for years and years. That's nothing new. However, what is new is this Georgia bill, which let's never forget, because Stacey Abrams had the election stolen from her, is now run by a Republican, or is again run by a Republican. The governor.
Right.
Sorry, what did I say? Did I say
No,
anything?
you're right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here's the thing about Hollywood is they tend to be a pretty liberal. So when Georgia passed their really cool abortion law, which is essentially a ban, a few people a few moneymakers have taken notice. And unfortunately, this is what it's going to take for change to happen, is these large corporations are going to throw their money around and make and not support these kinds of things. The shitty thing is there are people who live in Georgia who depend on these kinds of things for their income. They are the people who work behind the scenes. There's caterers, small business owners who have made money off of like filming taking place in Georgia. But because the governor made these shitty laws, money's going to talk. So I'm just going to give you a couple quotes from a few media moguls. So Netflix content chief Ted Sarandis. He said on Tuesday, quote, "We have many women working in productions in Georgia whose rights, along with millions of others, will be severely restricted by this law. Should it ever come into effect, we'd rethink our entire investment in Georgia." He's also backing the ACLU to fight the bill in court. It's worth noting that Netflix CEO donated $124,000 to 61 Republican state Missouri lawmakers who did support the Missouri bill. That's fine. No big deal. No conflict of interest. Disney CEO Bob Iger, when somebody asked him if Disney would continue to film in Georgia if the law passes, he said, quote, "I rather doubt we will. I think many people who work from us will not want to work there, and we will have to heed their wishes in that regard." Warner Media, if the new law holds, we will reconsider Georgia as the home to any new productions. As is always the case, we'll work closely with our production partners and talent to determine how and where to shoot any given project. NBC Universal, we fully expect that the heartbeat bills and similar laws in various states will face serious legal challenges and not going to affect while the process proceeds in court. If any of these laws are upheld, it would strongly impact our decision-making on where we produce content in the future. AMC, if this highly restrictive legislation goes into effect, we will reevaluate our activity in Georgia. Sony, as the MPAA has noted, the outcome of Georgia's heartbeat law and similar proposed legislation in other states will be determined through the legal process. We will continue to monitor that process in close consultation with our filmmakers and television showrunners, talent, and other stakeholders as we consider our future options. CBS and Showtime, quote, "We are monitoring the legislative and legal..."
I'm going to cut you off here.
This
Okay, so they're all saying this. I want to know, one, how many of them are actually going to do this? They all say this because it's good publicity.
I mean, I think the idea is hopefully they don't expect this to ever take hold. They don't expect this to pass into law. They think it's going to get shot down in courts. So really what it is them like posturing in a way that panders to liberals and says, hey, like, we're not going to support these things. I think it is going to be when push comes to shove. Like, if this actually comes into effect, are you going to uproot fucking Walking Dead and move it to a different state? I have no idea.
Well, and that's the tricky part, right? Because a lot of people who work on these shows, it's not like the actors who just fly into the location, do their thing, and leave. That can be changed, and that's probably not a huge deal. But we're talking a lot of people who live in these states and work on these productions. Mm-hmm. They would lose their jobs, and does Netflix really want to say, hey, all thousands of you working on these shows, you're out of a job because we are moving.
But I mean,
out of
that's what I'm saying. Like, and I don't.
How many will do that?
I don't know. I don't know.
I hope they follow
And I'm really
through.
torn on stuff like this because I think this is just so indicative of like how broken this system is that it's going to take either the state of Georgia losing, like hemorrhaging money because they're no longer getting this income from people filming, or somebody who's just works behind the scenes, who's like a camera operator in Georgia, loses his job because of this bill and therefore decides not to vote for legislators who would push a bill like this.
Right.
Like,
but they probably don't anyway. Like a lot of the people working on these productions who are who have constant interaction with people who are LGBTQ, and women who have to deal with the ramifications of the abortion law.
Sure.
I'm guessing they're not the type to vote for these people either. Like, I want them. I would love it if Netflix said we're not doing it.
Right? Like, it's going to be like because you say like actors fly in and fly out. Like, and I know I keep saying The Walking Dead because it's the only one I know off the top of my head. Like, most of those actors have homes in Atlanta.
Yeah, if the show is based there, why not?
Because their show is based there, so they live there at least part time. But like, there's ripple effects.
But they can afford to leave too.
They can afford to. Like, they're not the people I'm
right.
concerned about. But there's ripple effects beyond just the people who immediately work on it. Like you said, tourism and just bringing money in by bringing people are flying in from Hollywood and they're staying at hotels. They're eating at local restaurants, things like that. It's just the thing that fucking sucks is it's going to take the most vulnerable people being harmed before anything changes, which
right.
is frankly how like revolutions start. Like we're looking at some like French Revolution shit that's about to turn down.
I'm so curious if other states are going to figure out how to give a tax incentive to get these companies to come there. So Georgia could be losing like a lot of built up legacy for being a place to film your stuff. But also, like, what will it take? Because if Hollywood can't do it, when are companies going to say, we're not going to build our new location there because of your bad policies?
I mean, hopefully that's enough, because I'm thinking of...
It's sad that it would take an economic incentive to maybe get these legislators to think twice, but they don't care about the women.
It's sad, but it's also just a reality of how our country is running right now. But I mean, look what happened in North Carolina with the trans bathroom bills.
Yeah. All those companies said, we're not going to build our second headquarters there. We're not going to move there.
And it changed. Yes. Like what the NCAA tournament pulled out of there. Like, it doesn't take that much for this shit to happen. So, like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. And there's a reason
you don't hear about this in Alabama, because they're not there in the first place, which is, I was surprised that, Netflix is going after Georgia. Of all places, Alabama's ban is even more restrictive. But Georgia's actually where they have this stuff going on.
Yeah.
No one's in Alabama to begin with, because nothing's drawing people there. They want to get out.
Well, and like fucking North or South Carolina, if they see that opening, like, hey, we can do that same tax incentive, and we have a coastline, so like we're a really enticing place to film. I mean, I think these
legislators haven't thought through the ramifications of their bigotry.
Because they're so focused on their own goals, which are to actively harm women for some fucking reason. Because we're seeing this time and time again of embryos that are in clinics that are like in petri dishes. Those can be tossed out, and that's nothing. Yeah. It's literally
only if they're in women do we actually care.
Yeah, and it's so, because I've tried so hard not to say like, oh, these men hate women, that's why they're doing what they're doing. Like, I genuinely try to see their perspective, like, oh, they believe that this is murder, and so like, how can we work within that framework? But it's not. Like, they just show, when they say things like that, like, oh, if it's in a petri dish. It's not. It's literally they just want to make sure women are punished for getting pregnant.
No matter how they get pregnant. Yeah. Okay.
I threw my pen.
I got one last one for you.
I've got 3 more.
Jesus.
Well, you haven't let me talk.
That's true. So here's one from the University of California. I think we talked about this before. I'm not sure. The University of California system was going to partner with a Catholic hospital system called Dignity Health. So this is UC San Francisco was going to partner with Dignity Health, a series of Catholic hospitals where students could work there and their doctors would be working at the hospital. And the problem with that is anytime you affiliate with these big any Catholic hospital, they have restrictions on what doctors can do. So they don't do abortion care. They don't do birth control. They don't do vasectomies. They don't do tubal ligations. They discriminate against trans people, gay people. So all these doctors...
You're saying maybe it's not the people we should be running our hospital system?
Exactly. And plenty. In UCSF, like, petitions were signed by hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of students, medical workers, doctors who said this is a bad move. Do not partner with them because you're doing injustice to the students and people who have to work there who care about patients. Catholic hospitals don't care about patients. They care about upholding Catholic dogma.
Right.
And if that helps patients, great. But if it's, here's what the patient needs, but the Vatican says otherwise,
Sorry.
Vatican wins every time.
Yeah.
And thankfully, this week, UCSF announced, we're going to cut the deal. We're not doing it.
Great.
That's awesome. They said in a statement, the decision reflects concerns that had been raised among UCSF medical professionals and advocates for women's health care and LGBTQ advocates because of Catholic Church dictates.
Good.
Good. It shouldn't have taken this long. I don't know why they didn't figure this out when they said, hey, let's consider this partnership. But good. No public university should be working with a Catholic hospital, which owns 1 in every 6 hospital beds in this country.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. And the Catholic hospital chain is I don't know why you guys are leaving us. Doesn't make any sense.
We did everything right except for anything for women.
Yeah. Dignity Health said, we have heard and understand the concerns. We agree we cannot move forward with the partnership as originally planned. They didn't even say,
at least
what's wrong with us?
At least they're not what?
Yeah.
Us?
Yeah.
Why? I'll just power through a couple more.
Yes.
Maine officially banned gay conversion therapy.
It's about time. That's what happens when you elect a Democrat instead of Paul LePage.
Governor Janet Mills she tweeted, quote, "Today I sign into law a bill banning conversion therapy, a widely discredited practice." I stumbled over that because there's a grammatical mistake and I couldn't let it go. A widely discredited practice that has no place in Maine. Today we send an unequivocal message to young LGBTQ people. We stand with you, we support you, and we will always defend your right to be who you are. The bill specifically prohibits the advertising, offering and administering of therapy designed to change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity to individuals under the age of 18. So that's good news.
Hey, something good out of Maine. I think they also said they're getting rid of religious exemptions for vaccines.
Oh, really?
Again, elect Democrat.
Right.
Look what happens.
All right, Maine. Maine's pretty dope. I really enjoyed my time there.
No, it's Susan Collins. No.
Yeah, but
No.
it's a very pretty state, and lobster is extremely delicious.
I'll take your word for that.
Actually, this has changed since I printed up these notes because Missouri was staged to maybe lose their last, because it's May 31st when we're recording this. They were staged to lose their last abortion clinic, and I actually want to dig into this a little more, even though I believe a judge ruled that
the one abortion clinic in the state wasn't meeting up to code.
Yeah, and
it
I
wasn't
have
meeting requirements.
the specific codes that but I believe I checked Facebook right before this, and I think a judge allowed it to stay open.
Yeah, the judge said it's a 5-day reprieve while they can get up to code or whatever.
That was it?
It's it. That's it. Just a short reprieve. So it would have eliminated the only clinic in the state.
The only clinic in Missouri, which is what, St. Louis is Missouri. It's not...
Which we've talked about before. People in St. Louis come to Illinois to get an abortion if you need to. And there was a billboard welcoming them.
There's a really nice Planned Parenthood in Aurora. If you need to come stay with me for a couple nights, I'll escort you over.
But it's not closed down yet, but it's not out of the woods yet either.
Yeah, but I want to dig in a little bit on this because I just want to be really clear about these trap laws that they set that supposedly are making sure clinics are up to whatever bullshit code. They are not about keeping women safe, keeping patients safe. They are...
In another state, they said your hallways have to be X feet apart, which is what you need in a hospital.
Yeah.
Not in a Planned Parenthood where you're not doing surgeries.
And you're not on a gurney. You're walking in. And anyway...
They just make the rules ridiculously restrictive, which either wastes their money to get up to code or it puts them out of business, which is the whole point. They can't be honest about it. So conservatives make up their own rules and expect everyone else to play along.
So this is a good example of it because the license had to be for Planned Parenthood in, I believe I presume in St. Louis actually. The license had to be renewed by May 31st, which is today. On May 20th, the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services notified the Planned Parenthood that there were 3 issues at stake that could impact their license renewal. So they gave them 11 days to be like, hey, these codes aren't up to snot, or, this isn't up to code. You need to fix it. That is an absurd thing to do. Like, I work in marketing, and if somebody asked me to turn something around in 11 days, I'd be like, fuck all the way off. I can't turn it around that fast. And this is like changing infrastructure or your staffing. So, May 22nd. So there was 3 specific issues. 2 of them, Planned Parenthood agreed that they would address. One is adjusting who at the clinic provided the state-mandated counseling, and in addition of adding an additional pelvic exam for abortion patients.
Why do they need another pelvic exam?
Fucking no reason. And actually, Dr. Colleen McNicholas, who is a physician in Planned Parenthood physician in St. Louis, said, quote, "When I say an unnecessary pelvic exam, what I mean is that the state is forcing me to put my fingers in someone's vagina when it's totally medically irrelevant. That is bordering on harassment. I'm really proud of our clinicians for taking a stand, saying, we just don't do that to patients," which is, like, when you put it in stark terms like that, is beyond fucked up. And as any woman who's ever had like a pap smear or anything like that, that shit is uncomfortable and unpleasant. And if the state is like, hey, actually, Jess, we're going to go ahead and like have somebody put their fingers inside you for no specific reason, but we just feel like it, like, fuck clean off with that. Planned Parenthood, this Planned Parenthood said it was investigating, according to Planned Parenthood, the health department said it was investigating, quote, deficient practices and needed to interview 7 physicians who provide care at the clinic. Again, this happened 10 days before their license was expiring. Planned Parenthood agreed to that 2 other physicians would be interviewed. The other 5 are residents in training. They're not employed by Planned Parenthood. They refuse to let them talk. The Department of Health said it would not, quote, complete our investigation until it interviews the physicians involved in the care provided and the potential deficient practices, and that the investigation needs to be completed and any deficiencies resolved before the expiration of the clinic's license on May 31st. I mean, I'm sorry, if you think these people are coming at this with good faith, do you think they're really the things that they're talking about?
Illinois is next door. Come on down.
But not everybody has that option.
No,
Even if
they
you live
don't.
in St. Louis, you don't have that option of drive. If you don't have a car, you're fucked. And I don't even know where Anyway, I just, like, listen, if anybody wants to pretend that these are actually trying to help women, read this and you fucking tell me that they said 10 days before their license expires, 10 days, and we have these really urgent things like, nobody's touching this woman's vagina enough. Like, how is she supposed to be punished for her abortion if nobody sticks their gloved fingers in her? That lube is really cold. 2 more. One is, and I had a battle with Hemin about this before we recorded, because Illinois, if you remember in 2018, we went ahead and swept the state with all Democrats, so both our houses and
opposite of all the states we're talking about.
We did okay. I'm taking credit for it because I did knock on a lot of doors.
Congrats.
Thank you. But anyway, my headline that I wrote is Illinois elected a bunch of Democrats, and guess what happened? So the first one is that, so this is sponsored by Representative Kelly Cassidy. It was a Reproductive Health Act. It rescinds prohibitions on late-term abortions and 45-year-old restraints, such as criminal penalties for doctors performing abortions.
Yeah, there was a 1975 law in the books that punished doctors that never was
and
enforced.
I think its enforcement has been prohibited by court orders.
Right, and so she's just saying, let's just get rid of that and replace it with one that basically makes no restrictions on abortion, give women the right to control their bodies.
Yeah.
And late-term abortion isn't a thing.
Yeah.
Like, let's let women decide. That finally passed.
Yeah. J.B. Pritzker, who's our newly elected governor, quote, with reproductive health under attack across the country, we must do everything in our power to protect women's rights in Illinois. Today was a major step forward for every woman in the state, which is true. Also, and this is what Hannah and I clashed about, because the Senate approved a measure to legalize recreational pot in Illinois. And I told him, we're going to talk about this because what do I want? I want pot and I want abortions. That's all I want.
I know.
But he cautioned me because it hadn't passed through the House.
Actually, as you were talking, it appears
Did
that
he
it
sign
has.
into law?
It's passed through the House now, and Pritzker said he'll sign that.
Yeah, I yelled at you when you were in the bathroom that it passed through the Senate or the House.
That's how it works.
Yeah, we're really professional.
And there are a lot of restrictions to the law, I should say. Like, it's a recreational pot bill, so you can use it, but if you live in an apartment, your landlord can say it's not allowed.
Oh, I didn't
There's
read
a
that
limit
much
to
about
how
it.
much you can have.
I own a house. I'm going to smoke weed in here.
That
Maybe.
is
I don't know. I'll
soon
probably do
legal,
edibles.
I believe, in 2020,
This
but not before.
podcast is going to get buck wild. I absolutely will not do this podcast high. It would be a disaster. Nobody needs that in their life. And finally, my
There's
last thing,
more?
I've been saving this for you, Heaven.
my
It's a
God.
gift for you.
Oh, no.
Do you remember last week when we talked about sex satisfaction?
No.
We talked about
Out of my head completely.
we talked about how Christians have the most satisfying sex
Oh,
lives.
yeah, according to the survey sponsored by Christians or something.
Yeah. So I am on a Facebook page that's fans of My Favorite Murder and also atheists. And somebody posted this, and I just want to show it to you. It is it's from, it doesn't matter. Just look at what this is
How
and just describe
atheists
it.
view making love. Can I read this?
Yeah.
Two steaks getting it on, and there's a picture of two steaks
And
on
they have
top of each
googly
other
eyes.
with googly eyes. Represents the level of intimacy of an atheist love life. Atheists are just meat controlled by. I'm not cutting that. Are just meat controlled by physical laws and chemicals in the brain. It's no wonder atheists have the reputation of having the worst love life. Because making intimate love or having an interconnection with the spouse is a contradiction to their materialist worldview. I've never seen that before.
I mean, I think it just popped up today.
We are
I haven't-
just like molecules and meat.
I-
Therefore, what do they think of? Do they think Christians are not molecules?
I don't know. I think it's because we say there's no, it doesn't matter what they think. It is genuinely the funniest thing I've seen in
There's
weeks.
a picture of two steaks on top of each other.
But did you describe the googly eyes? Because
There
those are
two
really
The
important.
googly
parts.
eye at the bottom appears very surprised that the top steak is just going at it.
And he's got big old grin. It's
Yeah.
just a lot. We'll have to post it.
No, we will not have to post that.
People are going to ask me for it.
Just imagine two steaks on top of each
But it's
other.
just really important to understand that there's two steaks laying on top of each other, and the bottom one is obviously the lady because it has eyelashes, and only women have eyelashes. You know how that
Sure,
works,
right.
And it's just a fucking lot to do because the
Do
top
they
the
post
boy
that
steak.
as satire or totally serious?
No, it's absolutely real because he cited two sources.
Oh, yeah,
the boy steak is googly cross-eyed, and you can only see his bottom. It's just a lot to take in. And
Glad I'm vegetarian.
I'm gonna have a steak for dinner tonight, aren't I? As a double
Jesus.
entendre, I'm not comfortable with. Okay, was that our longest episode we've ever had?
It sadly is not.
No.
But
Well, we both had a lot of stories, and I was like, I don't have shit to do for the rest of the day, so I'm down for this.
you can find us at. Oh, you know what I forgot to mention that I totally should have mentioned at the beginning of the episode? This is the last week for my Kickstarter for the Pledge of Allegiance podcast. I'm finally, I think, done writing this thing.
Hey.
It's only a good 50 pages.
Fuck, dude.
Oh my God. But recording sessions are in
Do
motion.
you have it broken up into
They are broken up into parts. The thing is written
how long is each episode? Is it gonna be hour long
more
episodes?
than an hour each, I would imagine, but I'll record it and figure it out after that.
Whoa.
So we'll see. But it's good. I'm excited. I
Yeah,
can't wait to share
I'm
this stuff.
really excited to see it.
It incorporates a lot of stuff that, as someone who pays attention to that stuff, I did not know about the Supreme Court cases involving the pledge, the details involving the people involved. I found out I'll give you this. The guy who wrote the pledge, who I've always heard is like this socialist minister
total socialist.
who didn't even include under God. I knew that. That guy's racist. Whoa.
Oh, that doesn't
Oh my
surprise
God.
me.
The
Why did I
speeches-
guess like that?
The speeches that guy made.
Well, because it's from the 30s, 40s.
It's from like the 1890s. But that guy,
Really?
that guy made some racist ass speeches.
Yeah, the 1890s weren't strong in race relations.
Not so much.
That's
so
really
like
exciting.
I always heard he's a socialist minister. He's always like the wealth distribution, and Jesus was a socialist, sort of like a Bernie
Yeah.
Sanders type. Like,
Yeah.
and then you read what he said after the pledge thing was done.
Oh,
it's like,
no.
oh no, what happened to you? Don't worry, I got transcripts.
I want to make
So anyway, if you want to support that, go
Oh,
to
yeah.
Kickstarter, search for Pledge of Allegiance, support that project. The Kickstarter ends on Wednesday. And
Wednesday the
anyone who gives like a certain
5th?
amount,
Wednesday, June 5th?
something like that, if you give like $10 to the Kickstarter, you will get early access to all the episodes. And I think the episodes will be out in like a month and a half-ish.
That's exciting.
So I cannot wait to share that. It's I've been working on it for such a long time.
I want to say
Yeah.
this. If this podcast that you're doing without me, your
Yes,
podcast host,
yes.
co-host, goes like crazy viral,
Right.
I will be really happy for you. I will also be furious. And I will
The cover photo will just be steaks.
and I would never say that to you once it actually happens, but I want you to know
Thank
when
you.
when this blows up in popularity.
Thank
because
you for
it's
your premature
because it's
support.
much more well thought out than any garbage we do on this show. I want you to know I'm going to be very happy for you, but also angry. But I will be
Thank you.
projecting happiness. But just know the backside of that fury.
Here's the thing that I've been doing for the past couple of weeks, because I had a thing written, but it's been going through a lot of the legal papers that scholars have written about the pledge after the fact that only appears in law journals. So it's like they're dissecting
Wait,
these.
how does copyright work for that? Are there any copyright? Oh God.
But they were writing like, here's my thoughts on the Supreme Court decision here, and here's what people missed when they analyzed it. And some of the things they've written, it's like, oh, I didn't know that person did this, or like everyone thought this decision meant one thing, but the way it's interpreted, it could go another way. Like
Yeah.
it's that stuff that was really fascinating and also tedious to dig through to figure out. Like
Sure.
that's something no book has written about, but that's interesting.
That's
so,
really cool, Hemant. I'm very proud of you
soon
that this
we'll
project
record
is,
this.
is happening.
Yes.
Anything exciting happened for you this weekend? Anything you're happy about?
No, there's nothing I'm happy about.
You just sounded happy like 25 seconds ago.
I'm finally like, I feel like this thing is pretty much done except for minor tweaks. So I can't wait to actually like record it.
Yeah.
And just make it look good and sound good and then get this out, and then I'll never think about it again.
Sure, and make sure your good close friend Jessica has like a little cameo in it.
Yes. Yes, right.
Cool.
What are you up to?
Yeah, honestly, nothing is going on for me this weekend. I'm pretty stoked about it.
God
Look,
damn it. I
will
can't wait till you have kids and you're miserable all weekend.
I will say, so Mikey and I went to Minneapolis for Memorial Day weekend. We left Friday night, came home, got home Sunday night, drove both ways. Minneapolis is fucking dope as hell.
That was a good
And
city.
we kept kind of like catching ourselves because I think most people do this when they visit a city. They're like, oh, I could see myself living here or not or whatever. And Mikey, this is very unlike him. Mikey is very like, I live in Chicago and Chicago is my home and Chicago is where I want to live. But we're in Minneapolis and he's like, oh, I could totally see us living here. But I was like, we both kept saying it's 75 degrees and sunny. We saw a great ball game. We've been drinking for 2 days straight. Like, let's not get too swept up in how cool Minneapolis is because they also have February and like it's not great
Right.
there. But we went to the Mall of America. I had a Bloody Mary at the Hard Rock Cafe. It was genuinely the whitest thing I've ever done, but
Yeah.
also like a very like 1990s kid dream coming true. It was great, and I really enjoyed it there, and like it made me super stoked for our road trip in
Can I add
in
one
August.
thing that I totally forgot?
I'm pretty wrapped up.
Yeah. Next week, I got to figure out the date for this as I'm talking. Andrew Seidel of the Freedom from Religion
Sure.
Foundation, he just wrote a book about Christian nationalism
Yeah,
and the
I've been
problem
seeing
with
that
the
all over
myth,
Twitter.
the myth of this is a Christian
nation.
nation. On Tuesday night. I'm sorry, it's the following week, so we'll post about it then. But June 11th, if you're in Chicago, Andrew's coming in to the city to talk about his book. Jerry Coyne, Dr. Jerry Coyne, the University of Chicago professor, will be doing a Q&A with him.
My close personal
in
friend.
public.
We've met twice.
Yes.
He did not remember me.
And I am emceeing the event. If anyone's interested, come on down.
Where
It'll
is
be a
it?
fun show. It is at the University of Illinois at Chicago. I'll post details on to that.
I'll be there. I'll have to figure out what to do with my dog.
I'm on the sidelines for this thing, but Andrew's going to be here talking about the book.
Heaven,
And if
that's
you haven't
really
read the book,
cool.
you should read that book because it's really good.
I mean, I haven't read it, and I won't read it between now and Tuesday, but I will go. Mikey's in California that week, so I'll have to
Good.
find a
Party there.
I have to find a
All right.
babysitter for
We'll
my
tell you more
dog.
about that next week.
No, I'll be there. So
Yes.
see, we need to figure out. We're doing a meetup this year.
We'll figure that out
this
too.
summer.
Off mic.
Don't people want to hear like the nuts
banter.
and bolts of
No.
things? Okay, you guys, you
Bye.
can find me. Oh no, you can find Hemet on Twitter. Hemet
Meta.
on Twitter. I'm Blueberry, BLUEBURIE. If you have any thoughts, you can send them to friendlyatheistpodcast@gmail.com. Donate if you like what you hear and you want to,
Pitch in?
help us keep doing what we're doing. Patreon.com/friendlyatheistpodcast. We'll see you next week. It won't be this long. Bye.